Greetings. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to actually make money from options. And just a disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not licensed or anything. I just love to talk about this. So consider this as entertainment, education, whatever. So in my previous video, I walked through what is actually a stock option. A stock option is a derivative. It comes from something. In this case, it comes from the actual stock like Microsoft or an ETF like the NASDAQ 100. That's the actual source that it's coming from. Then it pulls from that, that becomes a derivative. We're adding volatility and time. If you put those together, stock options is insurance. That's what and how everybody makes money off of this. So stock options are the insurance for the stock. It's not the stock, but it is the promise that some actions will take place by some price point and by some time duration. All of those things make up the stock option. It's derivative from the stock. So I hope that all ties in together. So how you make money, right? Everybody want this is it all gets to the point of how you make money from stock options. Well, stock options is you can think of it's just like with any stock, you could be a buyer or a seller. But there's one more added component to it, which is calls and puts. But for now, I'm gonna let this go for 1 second and think of the option. You could buy it or you can sell it. You can actually buy an option. You could buy the insurance, thinking that if it goes to a certain number at a certain time, I'm going to win. I'll win a bigger portion because I had to pay a much smaller amount. Instead of paying Microsoft at, for example, $100 a share and hope that it goes up and holding on to the stock itself, there's the option, there's the insurance right there. It says, oh, you could buy the promise that if it does go up, you can get the stock. And it only costs maybe $15. So $15 is much less than $100 a share. So one who wouldn't want to do that? And so that's where stock options, the buying portion is, it seems very lucrative, or it seems very it seems very seductive, or people want to get into it because buying the insurance, buying the promise is much cheaper than buying the stock or the asset outright. Okay, so I hope I got that part on the buying side. Now for me, in this whole channel, I'm only on the selling side. Okay, I only sell options. It's a very sliver niche side that I'm doing. So what does that even mean? Well, if I'm on the selling side, that means I have assets. I have either money or I have the stock. I have the Microsoft at 100, and I'm going to use it as a collateral. Okay, it's an asset that I hold, and I'm going to put the insurance on it, the option, and say, hey, I'm willing to relinquish this as long as you pay me a small fee or premium, and you could keep all of this. But me, the seller, I have to have the asset first. Okay, so that's one drawback of being a seller of an option, is that you actually do have to have money. It's much more than the $15 option to buy Microsoft. I have to actually have, in this case, $1,000, because I have to always get the block of Microsoft. And in options, everything is in a block of 100. That counts as one contract. So in option world, it's always in the language of a contract. A contract always equals 100 shares, or 100 equivalent shares of the cash value. So that's one drawback. Now, why would anybody get into the selling side if you have to have so much cash at hand? Well, perhaps maybe you're older like me, or you have some money at hand and you want a higher return. You could let it offset into an ETF, a mutual fund, a bond, and let it get a little bit percentage a year, 4, 5, 10%. But what if you want a higher gain? You sell options against it. You're gaining premium on top of your asset, because your asset now sits as collateral. All right, I'm going to give you a real example. Think of all the insurances: State Farm, Progressive, Allstate, Farmers Insurance. These insurance, do they the actual company, do they sit on nothing? Do they have nothing covering in their reserves? Of course not. If I had a insurance policy with Progressive and I get into a car accident, they better pay me because I pay them a premium, right? They better have cash on hand when my car gets totaled or I have medical expenses. That was the promise we had with each other. So now with the asset that I have in hand, I'm going to make it work for me. That's just where the beauty of options come into play, is that money is now working towards me. It's like my little soldiers. It has value. It's collateralized now. It's a little soldier that's being a collateral. And now I can decide to sell the policy at what price point, how far outdated I want the policy to hang on until it expires. And the buyer will buy that position, that option, and give me, the seller, the premium to hold on as a reward to hold on that policy until it ends. So that is the whole cycle of how you actually make money from options. You could always be a seller, excuse me, you could always be a buyer. You could buy the essentially a discounted stock that has a short time duration. That's the buyer side. I'm not an options buyer. Or you could be the seller of options. I'm a option seller. The one drawback and the one thing you must know is I have to have assets to be a stock options seller. I'm covered. I'm not a what's there's a term for it. It's called naked, where you don't have any assets to cover your collateralized position. But I have money set aside, whether it's cash sitting in my account or whether I take that cash and buy it into shares of a stock, or an ETF, or an asset, and then I sell policy options against my assets, and I get premiums. Okay, so that concludes on how in the world is stock options anyways. How do you actually make money off of it? It's not really the stock, but it's derived one step away. It has flavors of time, volatility. You can be a buyer of an option. It's a little bit, in my opinion, it's more risky. There's time going against your favor. Or you could be the seller. Now you do have to have money and assets to be a seller, and that you could sell policies against your assets and you're rewarded with premium. All right, so look at my shorts and keep watching, because I'm going to really further down break apart what being on the buyer side, the sell, and especially on the seller side, the calls and the puts, and eventually how you make money in your pocket. This is all about how money is your little soldiers, money making money for you. All right, see you on the next video. Bye.